We've got a couple of days of Broncos training camp under our belts, so I thought it would be appropriate to check out some of the big storylines coming out of Dove Valley, right? Some of the big players standing out so far, take it all in for you guys and break it all down. So that's what we got on tap for everyone today. Before we jump into the show, make sure to hit that thumbs up icon. Today's edition of the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports is presented to you by Aura, which is an all-in-one digital safety company that helps keeping your wallet and your identity secure while you are online. Plus, they're offering Broncos Country a 14-day free trial when you go to aura.com/chatsports. That link's in the comments and the description of today's show. My first standout from training camp so far, if you've even read just one tweet or one piece of news coming out of training camp, it's probably been about Justin Simmons, actually. I know, not Russell Wilson. We're going to save him for later. But Justin Simmons has been the biggest standout so far during camp. He has made a handful of pass breakups. He has been flying across the field. If you thought Justin Simmons hit his ceiling, hit his peak, watch out, because 2022 Simmons might be the best version if he is looking like how he's played so far. A lot of interesting tweets coming out from boots on the ground from the big J's over in Mile High at training camp. Zach Stevens, who does a great job of covering the team, tweeting out Justin Simmons with a picture-perfect pass breakup. Russell Wilson unleashed a bomb to Jeudy, and Simmons swayed it away in perfect position. Jackson was also there too. Now, it's tough to believe there could be more up for Justin Simmons, right? He's not necessarily the best, undisputed safety in the NFL, but he's definitely top 5. And when you put up 2 straight seasons of 5 interceptions, that's probably why, right? Followed up with 4 and 3. He has been the most consistent piece on this Broncos defense for the last half decade. I mean, outside of Von Miller, but actually, no. Von's had his injuries, right? And then last year, traded midseason, but Simmons has been there game in and game out. I am excited to see Justin Simmons finally getting the national recognition he deserves this season, because with Russell Wilson coming to Mile High, you know what else that brings? A ton of primetime games. And everyone across the country is going to be able to watch number 31 and go, damn, he's really good. Does everyone know this? We're like, yeah, we've been saying it for years. So I'm happy to see Simmons have a good start to training camp, because he is definitely one of the more underappreciated just players, not even safeties or defenders, players in the entire National Football League. So let's send some positive vibes over to number 31's way. Spam his jersey number 31 down in the comment section if you're excited to see Justin Simmons play at that all-pro level that he does every single year, essentially, since getting drafted back in, 2016 out of BC in round number 3. We couldn't go that long without talking about Russell Wilson, because that's what happens, right? When you go out and trade for Russell Wilson and the entourage, you get a lot of airtime. Russell Wilson, of course, one of the bigger standouts so far during training camp. He's looked as advertised. There have not been bad passes from Russ. There's not been a little bit of rust to wear off or, acclimating himself to a new team and all that good stuff. Nope. He's looking like Russell Wilson, and he's developing a good connection with Courtland Sutton. Now, we've got more on Russ to get to in just a second, so stay tuned. But first, Aura is our proud sponsor today, and they've got great benefits for all of you guys watching. Not only do they have financial fraud protection so the hacksters don't get your credit card or your debit card, but they also have identity theft protection. Because as Dwight Schrute said, identity theft is not a joke, Jim. So make sure you get started right now at aura.com/chatsports. Plus, with family plans that protect up to 5 people, you can have the whole household covered. Get started right now. That link is in the comments and the description of today's show. I think this quote from left tackle Garrett Bowles sums it up pretty nicely so far about Russ. You touch my quarterback, and it's like touching my wife, and we're going to have a problem. We got to get Bowles in front of the mic more often, because he said this later in his presser. The offense is lighting up the sky like it's the 4th of July. I mean, we know that Bowles is one of the bigger characters and personas on this team, but it's fun to see him get an opportunity to talk to the media, because usually that's saved for some of the more skilled player positions. Now, Russell Wilson, He made his presence known when he arrived to training camp. I don't even know what kind of car that is. It looks like something out of Jurassic Park, honestly. Now, you might notice there's two ways of looking at this. Oh, Russell Wilson's wearing an awesome retro Broncos jersey. Or there's the former Seattle Seahawks beat reporter's way of looking at it, which is, in my 19 years of being around an NFL team, I've never seen a player wear their own jersey. Really? I mean, first off, if Russ was in Seattle right now and wore his jersey, would you tweet this? G. Scott Sr.? Probably not. I think I sense a little bit of jealousy. I think that's true for a lot of big J's up in the Pacific Northwest. Now, yes, Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson, which means he comes with, I wouldn't say baggage, but he comes with a personality, and that's a bit of corniness, right? Mr. Unlimited, Broncos Country, let's ride. Now, if you think Russell Wilson can be a bit corny, a bit extra, that's fine. He's really good at football, and that's what I care about. But I'm not going to stand up here and act like it's not true. It doesn't bother me. I'd rather have that on my team than have, no offense to Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, but I think we can still all agree, like, yeah, Russ is a different personality than you usually see out there, and it can be a bit cringe, but that's Russ. And that's fine, because when you have the moon ball and the deep ball that he has, he gets a pass. But if you think he can be a bit corny, drop a Y for yes or N for no. And while you're getting your votes in, if you are looking for more Broncos training camp updates, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll be keeping you guys well informed all training camp and preseason long, getting ready for Week 1 Monday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks. All right, next camp standout, Patrick Surtain II, PS2. This guy has been looking like the 9th overall pick so far. After a phenomenal rookie season, he is having an excellent start to training camp. He said going up against Russ every day is already making him better. That's another beautiful benefit of getting a future Hall of Fame quarterback like Russell Wilson when he's only 33 years old. He's going to improve not just the offense, but the defense, because it's a little bit different when you go up against Russell Wilson compared to Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, right? Brock Osweiler, the list of quarterbacks, Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch. We can go on and on. Now, so far in camp, Surtain has been Patrick Surtain, right? In fact, one of the handful of reporters asked him, hey, what's it like, by the way, being voted on as one of the a candidate to be a top cornerback after this season, the number 1 CB going into this year, potentially coming out of it? He said it was cool. Calm, cool, and collective. That's what PS2 is. Here's what his teammate Garrett Bowles said about him, saying, I don't know how you game plan against a guy like that, because he's going to eat you alive. I mean, just the compliments for number 2 continue to pour in. Like I said, Zach Stevens tweeting out, Pat Surtain said it's cool. Multiple league executives believe he'll be the best cornerback in the NFL this year. Jalen Ramsey is definitely going to use that as motivation, because there are still a lot of good corners out there. And I think Surtain is one of the best in the league. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way to say he's number 1 in the NFL, but I'll let you guys decide. Patrick Surtain is a top blank cornerback in the NFL. I think if he's not top 10 now, he'll be top 10 after like 3 weeks of real football, right? Where he gets to make a couple more plays. And for example, week 1, if he shuts down DK Metcalf and holds him to 4 receptions for 40 yards or whatever, and everyone's going to be like, this guy can play. Like, yeah, we know that. You should have seen him last year, too. He was really good last year. Now, speaking of skilled positions, what about Jerry Jeudy? Because I think this is a player that needs to really emerge this year, and he's definitely on the right track so far in training camp after a distracting spring, we shall say, with some run-ins with the law and some injuries and OTAs and minicamp and whatnot. Now, head coach Nathaniel Hackett, according to Zach Stevens, has loved the way Jerry Jeudy has attacked training camp, said Jeudy has even coached Hackett and called him out at times. Well, I'm curious how Hackett's taken that. But regardless, yeah, Jerry Jeudy definitely not a training camp loser so far. And I think Jeudy can be the it factor for this team. I think you know what you have in Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick, right? Russell Wilson can highlight them. but I don't know if he can dramatically change who they are as a player. Jeudy is a little bit more of a mystery, a little bit more of an unknown of what is his potential, what's his ceiling. And with Russell Wilson, he can reach it. Because so far in his young career through 2 seasons, it has been maybe a little bit underwhelming for a first-round pick. Now, last year he dealt with the ankle injury after a third-quarter injury in week 1 against the Giants down the sideline. But when he came back, he still didn't look the same. Ultimately, couldn't find the end zone. So I think there is a lot to be said about Jeudy, and I think this has to be the year for Jerry Jeudy, right? He has to go out and show, I am the first-round pick. I am going to be this team's #1 wide receiver because that's why the Broncos drafted me. And with Russell Wilson, I better look the part. My 5th and final camp standout, Bradley Chubb. I mean, when your head coach says he's untouchable, yeah, you're going to make the list of standouts so far. And this is exactly what you want to see from a guy like Chubb, who's had a rocky past couple of seasons, dealing with injuries, and you're hoping in year 5, potentially his last year with the team, he can put it all together like he did in his rookie season and prove to be a future cornerstone edge rusher for this team. Team beat reporter Eric Delilah tweeting out Garrett Bowles on going against Bradley Chubb. His bull rushes, they're ruthless. I think he's going to have a special year. I would say this, I'm not trying to take away from the start he's had to camp. There's several reports of him looking like how he played back in 2018. It's also training camp. Every year we do this, where we sell ourselves way too high on stuff, and then we got to remember, well, it's a little easy when you go up against the Tom Comptons. Oh, he's even hurt right now, but you get the point of when you get to go up against backups, yeah, you can kind of maybe pat the stats a little bit and look a little prettier compared to when you go up against teams starting left tackles during the regular season. Now, Chubb's career so far has been up and down with, unfortunately, more downs than ups, right? 2018, that first season, fully healthy, set the rookie sack record with 12 sacks. Then he battles with injuries in 2019, only played 4 games. 2020, he doesn't have Von Miller there, so he takes a bit of a step back. Last year, had an ankle injury to start the season, and it only got worse in week 2 against the Jags. He returned, and he never looked like the Bradley Chubb that we all saw back in 2018. He's got to deliver this year. It's a contract year. He knows that. He knows his bread is on the table. He's got to go get it. So it's a big year for Bradley Chubb. He's got to catch up to him. Now, with that being said, who do you think will have more sacks in 2022? Put the jersey number for the player you think it's going to be. Whether it's Bradley Chubb or Randy Gregory, sound off down below and let me know what you're thinking. And hey, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go ahead and do so because we're giving you guys the best daily Broncos content out there. So click that sub button and get locked in for the best 2022 Broncos training camp coverage.